Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will read the updates of the story about a man who, as an entitled tenant, tries to force him to sell his property to pay for her daughter's college, and does thing the man when I refused. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I highly recommend watching it on our channel first to fully understand the story and its progression. Let's get started. Update 1. Emily has responded to our legal action with a letter of her own filled with threats and more defamation. She has accused me of charging high rent despite knowing her financial situation, which, according to her, made it impossible for her to save up for her daughter's education. I can't believe how far she is going to stoop down and lie just to get what she wants. Her accusations are baseless, and it is frustrating to see her play the victim card when I had already provided her with subsidized rent. It is clear she is trying to manipulate the situation in her favor, and I am not about to let that happen. It is clear that Emily is not going to back down without a fight. My lawyer, Matthew, has assured me that we have a strong case as her accusations are baseless, but has asked me to be prepared, as the legal process is going to be long and draining. I can't help but think about how this situation has escalated so quickly. It was never my intention to end up in a courtroom, especially with someone who had been a tenant on my property. But sometimes you have to stand your ground and protect what's rightfully yours. Emily might have her reasons, but I can't allow her to pressure me into selling my property. My family's future is at stake, and I am determined to see this through, no matter how challenging it may be. I will update you next when the legal proceedings begin. Update 2. Since my last update, the legal proceedings have officially begun. The anticipation leading up to the court date has been excruciating. The courtroom was charged with tension as both parties presented their arguments and evidence. Emily, flanked by her attorney, portrayed herself as a struggling mother determined to secure her daughter's future. Her attorney painted a vivid picture of financial hardships, emphasizing how my property had been the last lifeline for her daughter's dreams of attending the prestigious out-of-state university. Emily's testimony was laced with emotion, her eyes welling up with tears as she described the sacrifices she had made as a single mother, the long hours she worked, and her unwavering commitment to her daughter's success. She talked about her relentless job searches and numerous applications for scholarships and financial aid, painting herself as a mother who had left no stone unturned. Throughout the proceedings, Emily's attorney relentlessly painted me as a wealthy, unsympathetic landlord who prioritized profits over a young girl's dreams by charging her high rent. They implied that I had been aware of Emily's financial struggles, yet continued to exploit her situation. But the most astonishing twist in the story came when Emily introduced a witness who was a family friend. We were shocked when this friend claimed to have witnessed a conversation between Emily and me where I allegedly promised to sell the property to finance her daughter's college education. I sat in disbelief as this blatant falsehood was presented in the courtroom. My attorney, Matthew, vehemently challenged this claim, asserting that no such conversation had ever taken place. He decided to take a more methodical approach to disprove this witness's claim. First, my attorney carefully cross-examined the family friend who had testified about the alleged conversation between Emily and me. He posed a series of detailed questions aimed at establishing the credibility of the witness's memory. Matthew asked about the date, time, and location of the supposed conversation, seeking to elicit inconsistencies or gaps in the recollection of events. In response, the family friend struggled to provide consistent details and could not produce any concrete evidence, such as text messages or emails, to support their claim. Their testimony became increasingly shaky under the scrutiny of the cross-examination. To further undermine the credibility of Emily's case, Matthew presented evidence that directly contradicted the claim by introducing records of text messages and emails exchanged between Emily and me during the time period when the alleged promise was said to have been made. These messages clearly showed that the subject of selling the property to fund her daughter's education had never been discussed. And Emily was the only one who was forcing me to sell my property to loan her the money. Additionally, we had a neighbor who lived adjacent to Emily's property testify that Emily had been paying less rent than all the other renters in the area. My lawyer pulled up receipts from other tenants residing in the neighborhood to prove the same. Matthew went on to argue that the absence of any written or electronic communication regarding the supposed promise that Emily claims, coupled with the neighbor's testimony, cast doubt on the family friend's account and could not be held as concrete evidence. We then focused on proving that Emily had intentionally gone to great lengths to slander my reputation on social media, which in turn had resulted in the bullying of my children. My attorney presented a comprehensive record of Emily's social media posts and messages where she had accused me of being an unsympathetic and heartless landlord who refused to support her daughter's dreams. These posts were filled with emotional appeals and outright falsehoods designed to gain sympathy and support from the community. We highlighted that these posts were intentionally crafted to create a narrative that painted her as a struggling mother doing everything in her power to secure her daughter's future when, in reality, she was emotionally blackmailing me to sell my property. Matthew then introduced screenshots of social media comments and direct messages from individuals who had engaged with Emily's posts. Some of these individuals were part of the local community and had formed a negative opinion of me based on the false information presented by Emily. These comments ranged from expressions of sympathy for her plight to outright accusations that I was an unfeeling landlord exploiting her situation. In addition to the social media evidence, we presented witness testimonies from my children, who had seen my children experience bullying at their school due to Emily's social media posts. They described how their classmates had echoed the false claims they had read on social media about their father, leading to name-calling and harassment. My attorney argued that there was a direct connection between Emily's false accusations on social media and the bullying my children had endured. The intentionally misleading narrative she had crafted had not only damaged my reputation, but also directly affected my family's well-being. This presentation of evidence effectively showed how Emily's actions on social media led to real-life consequences for my children. As the legal proceedings continued, I was confident that justice would be served. The evidence presented so far shed light on the truth and exposed the false claims made against me. I believe that the court would see through the manipulation and ensure a fair outcome in this case. Update 3. We won. The past month has been a grueling experience due to the legal proceedings. It has been like a roller coaster ride with unexpected twists and turns. My lawyer continued to present evidence and testimonies, which made it increasingly clear that Emily's claims were baseless. Her attempt to manipulate the situation by introducing a family friend who falsely testified about a promise I had never made fell apart under scrutiny. The lack of concrete evidence and inconsistencies in the witness's account cast doubt on the validity of their claims. After a thorough examination of all the evidence and testimonies, the judge finally announced the verdict and ruled in my favor. This came as a huge relief to me, and I was grateful that the judge had seen through all the baseless claims. Emily was found guilty of defamation and was ordered to pay damages for the harm she had caused to my reputation, starting with paying the rent for the previous months and additional fines. A restraining order was also issued by the judge, preventing Emily from making any further defamatory statements about me or my family. This ruling successfully validated my actions and my right to protect my property. As the legal battle concluded, I watched Emily sitting beside her lawyer, looking defeated. I turned to look at her daughter, Lily, and couldn't shake off the thought that her dreams had been compromised by her mother's sense of entitlement. This nightmare was finally coming to an end, with justice being served. It was a lesson for everyone on the importance of defending oneself and not letting someone else's audacious demands shake our core beliefs. I can now move forward with a renewed sense of self-assurance and the knowledge that my house and our livelihood are secure. I would like to thank everyone who has supported me in this journey so far. The mental pressure and struggles my family and I went through were immense, but ultimately, truth prevailed. Update 4. It has been 6 months since my last update following my courtroom victory. The restraining order has effectively silenced Emily, and the damages she had to pay for defamation provided some level of consolation for the harm done to my reputation. Emily and her daughter had to move out after I gave them the eviction notice. While their circumstances remained challenging, I knew they were no longer my responsibility. I did feel a twinge of sympathy for her daughter's lost educational opportunities, but the reality was that her mother's audacious request had put their family in a difficult situation. Emily was also forced to take down her defamatory social media posts as part of the court's ruling, and everyone quickly found out the extent of her lies. The last I heard about them was when her daughter, Lily, reached out to me with an apology out of nowhere. Lily had always been a great kid, and I had watched her grow up, but when her mother started falsely alleging things about me, I cut off contact with them. I was surprised that she wanted to get in touch with me after her mother publicly lost the case. Her message was filled with genuine remorse for the way her mother had behaved and the consequences that had befallen her family as a result. She expressed gratitude for our patience and understanding during the ordeal, recognizing that her mother's actions had caused harm to both our families. She also shared that they had relocated to a more affordable area and that she had decided to attend a local college to pursue her education. She informed me that she had spoken with her mother after the legal proceedings had ended and had asked her to back off, stating that she was determined to secure her own future without making any audacious demands. I felt sympathy for what she had to go through at such an early age because of her entitled mother's false claims. I told her that everyone deserves a second chance and that it was admirable she was taking control of her own destiny. I wished her the best of luck with her studies and assured her that the past was behind us. Now that Emily and her daughter no longer live on my property, our life has settled into a new normal. The weight of the false accusations and the bullying our children faced earlier has been lifted. We took action by reaching out to our children's school and addressing the bullying they had gone through. And that's the end of this story. What do you guys think about the whole story? Let me know in the comments section below.